It's not uncommon right now to find somebody who has paid maybe $60,000 or $65,000 for a very high-end pickup truck. Well, even the average pickup truck now is going to be crossing over that $50,000 barrier.
Truck prices have climbed to levels that would have seemed absurd a decade ago, and dealers across the country are sitting on lots full of pickups nobody is rushing to buy. Some of these trucks were supposed to be industry-changing. Others were once dependable bestsellers. Now they are collecting dust, drawing discounts, and in a few cases, getting quietly pulled from production altogether. In this video, we're counting down 10 trucks that have fallen out of favor in 2026, and the reasons range from sky-high price tags to genuine engineering failures. Let's get into it. Starting at number 10 is the Tesla Cybertruck, a vehicle that generated nearly 2 million reservations before a single unit ever reached a customer's driveway. The reality has been nothing like the hype. Industry inventory trackers have repeatedly found thousands of unsold Cybertrucks sitting at dealer lots, and by early 2026, Tesla's overall unsold vehicle stockpile had swelled to more than 50,000 units company-wide, a record for the automaker. The Cybertruck itself has sold only a small fraction of what Elon Musk originally projected. He once promised annual sales approaching 250,000 units. The truck has instead been landing somewhere in the range of 15,000 to 20,000 a year, and its own manufacturer has reportedly had to lean on sister companies like SpaceX to soak up excess inventory that ordinary customers weren't buying. Build quality complaints, a starting price that has crept well past $70,000 for a properly equipped model, and a design so unusual that parking and maneuvering it in tight city spaces is genuinely difficult have all combined to keep the Cybertruck a niche product rather than the mainstream disruptor it was pitched as. At number 9 is the Hyundai Santa Cruz, a compact pickup that tried to carve out space between city cars and full-size trucks. The idea wasn't unreasonable, but the execution never caught fire with buyers. In 2025, Hyundai sold roughly 25,500 Santa Cruz models in the United States. Its direct rival, the Ford Maverick, sold more than 155,000 units over the same period, meaning the Maverick outsold the Santa Cruz by a margin of roughly 6-1. That gap has reportedly pushed Hyundai to scale back Santa Cruz production well ahead of its originally planned mid-2027 end date, with multiple outlets citing industry sources who say the model may be phased out sooner rather than later. Hyundai has publicly maintained that its product plans haven't changed, but the company has also confirmed it's developing a larger, body-on-frame pickup aimed more directly at traditional truck buyers, which suggests the Santa Cruz's unibody, car-based approach simply never found the audience Hyundai hoped for. Number 8 belongs to the Nissan Titan, a truck that never managed to break into the tight circle of full-size dominance held by Ford, Chevrolet, and Ram. Nissan confirmed back in 2023 that Titan production would end in the summer of 2024, closing the book on a nameplate that had been around for 2 decades without ever posting more than a fraction of what its competitors moved. In 2023, the Titan's final full year on the market, Nissan sold under 20,000 units in the U.S., compared to hundreds of thousands for the F-Series alone. Nissan cited its broader shift toward electrification as the reason for ending the Titan, but the truth is simpler. The Titan spent its entire run as the distant fourth option in a three-way fight it wasn't built to win. Now that the model is fully discontinued, remaining used examples are becoming harder to service and support long-term, which has made resale values soft and buyers understandably cautious. At number 7 is the Rivian R1T, a genuinely impressive piece of engineering that has struggled to escape luxury vehicle pricing. Current R1T trims start in the low 70s of thousands of dollars and climb toward $80,000 for versions with the larger battery pack, putting it firmly out of reach for the average truck shopper. The R1T backs that price up with serious performance, including a quad-motor variant now rated above 1,000 horsepower, but most buyers in the pickup market aren't cross-shopping vehicles that expensive. Range anxiety remains a real concern too. While Rivian's larger battery pack pushes range past 400 miles, the smaller standard pack tops out closer to 270 miles, and towing or hauling cuts noticeably into that number. Combine the price with a still thin national charging network, and the R1T remains a truck admired by reviewers far more than it's actually purchased by working truck buyers. Number 6 is the Chevrolet Silverado EV, GM's attempt to bring a full-size electric truck to the mainstream market. Depending on trim, pricing ranges from a base work truck configuration in the mid-50s of thousands of dollars up to off-road-oriented trims like the Trail Boss, which can price out above $90,000 once options and destination fees are added. Chevrolet has already discontinued at least one trim level, the RST, reflecting softer-than-expected demand. The core issue mirrors what's holding back electric trucks industry-wide. Buyers who need genuine towing and hauling capability remain wary of range loss under load, charging infrastructure in rural areas is still inconsistent, and traditional truck loyalty runs deep. Even with GM's engineering resources behind it and genuinely strong range and torque numbers on paper, the Silverado EV has had a hard time converting curiosity into actual sales among buyers who've spent decades trusting gas-powered full-size trucks. At number 5 sits the GMC Hummer EV pickup, the vehicle that made the loudest statement and arguably has the smallest realistic audience. The Hummer EV pickup weighs in at roughly 9,000 pounds in some configurations, making it one of the heaviest non-commercial vehicles sold in America, heavier even than some heavy-duty diesel trucks. Pricing starts near $80,000 and climbs past $100,000 for higher trims, positioning it as an unambiguous luxury purchase rather than a practical daily truck. Its massive footprint creates real headaches in city driving and standard parking situations, and its sheer weight raises tire wear and road surface concerns that don't affect lighter trucks nearly as much. GM has leaned into the Hummer EV's identity as a status symbol and technology showcase rather than a mainstream workhorse, and the sales numbers reflect that. It remains a low-volume specialty vehicle, appealing mainly to buyers who want to be seen in it rather than buyers who need to actually use it. Number 4 is where the story gets genuinely dramatic, the Ford F-150 Lightning. When it launched, dealers had waiting lists stretching for months and Ford could barely keep up with demand. That momentum didn't last. Throughout 2026, Lightning sales cratered by staggering margins, month-over-month declines of roughly 50 to nearly 80% compared to the year before, and in July 2026 alone, sales fell more than 95% year-over-year to just 141 units nationally. The reason isn't a mystery. Ford officially confirmed in December 2025 that it was discontinuing the all-electric Lightning altogether, choosing instead to redirect its truck electrification strategy toward an extended-range hybrid pickup that pairs a gas engine with electric drive to solve the range and charging concerns that dog the pure battery version. Ford disclosed roughly $19.5 billion in EV-related losses and program cancellations tied to this pivot. What remains on dealer lots now are essentially the final Lightning units ever built, and dealers are discounting them heavily just to clear space, even though the truck itself earned praise from owners for reliability and towing capability throughout its production run. At number 3 is a more surprising entry, the Ram 1500, specifically its higher trims and newest generation. Ram's flagship pickup has long had a reputation for ride comfort and interior quality, but 2025 and 2026 model years have been rocked by a wave of reliability problems. Owners have reported instrument clusters going completely blank while driving, a defect serious enough that Chrysler issued a formal recall covering software and hardware fixes across the 2025 and 2026 lineup. Separate recalls have covered faulty trailer tow modules and backup camera failures. Independent reliability analysts have logged persistent electrical complaints as the single largest category of owner-reported issues on the newest Ram 1500, and at least one major consumer testing organization gave the 2026 Ram 1500 one of the lowest reliability scores it has ever assigned to a pickup truck. For a segment where buyers expect dependability above almost everything else, especially on the higher trims that regularly price above $80,000 once loaded with options, those kinds of software and electrical failures are exactly the sort of thing that sends shoppers looking at competitors instead. Number 2 is the Ford F-150 itself, or more specifically, its high-end trims. The base F-150 remains America's best-selling truck by a wide margin, and that fact alone should tell you the core product is still solid. But the loaded Platinum, King Ranch, and top-tier trims have crept into territory that would have seemed unthinkable a decade ago, with fully optioned versions now approaching $90,000. That's mortgage-level money for a pickup, and combined with elevated interest rates, monthly payments on these top trims can easily run past $1,000. Ford itself has acknowledged broader softness in its truck volumes tied to supplier issues and a cooling market throughout 2026, even as the F-Series overall keeps its sales crown. Dealers report that many shoppers who once moved up to premium trims every few years are now either staying in lower trims or walking away entirely, priced out of what used to be an aspirational but attainable upgrade. That brings us to number 1, the Toyota Tundra, specifically the redesigned generation that debuted for 2022. Toyota's decision to drop the long-trusted V8 in favor of a twin-turbocharged V6 has turned into one of the more serious reliability failures in recent truck history. Since May 2024, Toyota has issued 3 separate recalls tied to the same underlying problem: leftover manufacturing debris contaminating the engine and damaging the crankshaft's main bearing, which can cause knocking, rough running, or a complete loss of power while driving. The first recall covered just over 102,000 vehicles. The second, announced in November 2025, added roughly 127,000 more. A third recall in May 2026 tacked on another 44,000 units, pushing the combined total past 250,000 affected trucks across the Tundra and related Lexus SUVs that share the same engine. Toyota has already replaced tens of thousands of engines and says later production runs received improved parts meant to prevent the contamination, but the pattern of recurring recalls for the identical failure mode has understandably shaken confidence in a brand that built its entire reputation on bulletproof reliability. For a truck priced between $60,000 and $70,000 in its higher trims, buyers expected the one thing Toyota was famous for, and the twin-turbo V6 has repeatedly failed to deliver it. Taken together, these 10 trucks tell a consistent story about where the pickup market stands in 2026. Prices across nearly every segment, gas and electric alike, have climbed into territory that puts real strain on ordinary buyers, while several once-trusted nameplates have run into genuine, well-documented engineering problems rather than simple bad luck. Electric trucks are still fighting an uphill battle against range anxiety, inconsistent charging infrastructure, and a customer base that isn't yet convinced battery power can handle serious towing and hauling. Meanwhile, even gas-powered stalwarts like the Tundra and Ram 1500 are discovering that modern manufacturing complexity, from turbocharged engines to software-dependent instrument clusters, brings new failure points that older, simpler trucks never had to worry about. Whether these problems get fixed with the next generation of updates or continue to erode buyer trust remains to be seen, but for now, dealers are stuck holding inventory that customers just aren't rushing to drive off the lot. If you found this breakdown useful, let us know in the comments which of these trucks surprised you the most, hit the like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into what's really happening in the auto industry.